Number 10. The Crocodile and the Backpacker. A crocodile in Australia got some very satisfying revenge after frightening a young backpacker who got the idea that it would be totally fun to bully and mock the marine reptile. The tourist spotted the crocodile from his fishing boat and wanted to get some pictures with it. Well, saltwater crocs are not the most photogenic things on the planet and aren't really into photo shoots. This particular beast was about 16 feet. The tourist teased and pointed at it while someone else snapped photos. This didn't make the crocodile very happy, and when it got close enough to the tourist, it tried to jump into his boat and bite his limbs off. The Israeli backpacker reacted quickly enough to escape the jaws of the crocodile, but he was left severely shaken. He was quoted later as saying, "I didn't realize crocs were so aggressive." But really, who in their right mind doesn't instinctively know that a giant green lizard isn't aggressive? It's like reaching out and trying to touch a rattlesnake, not realizing that, it's a deadly snake. In the end, the tourist went about the rest of his fishing trip with both eyes open for marauding crocodiles. Number 9. Rabid fox attack. A wild fox in Rochester Mills finally had enough. It was tired of being treated like a pesky raccoon and decided one morning it was going to strike back against the rude people in the neighborhood who weren't paying him any respect. It was about 10:30 in the morning when the fox strolled into the yard of Sylvia Work as she was weeding her flower bed. When Sylvia went to wash her hands, the fox was there ready to strike. It began running straight for her, hell-bent on tearing the old lady to shreds. Sylvia screamed for help, but nobody came. The fox had almost completed its planned vengeance. It was biting her in the leg, puncturing her skin with its tiny teeth, and cutting apart her hands as it scratched and scratched. Thankfully, her 14-year-old neighbor rushed to her rescue. He had heard the woman screaming from next door and came to see what the fuss was about. The teenage neighbor grabbed hold of the fox while another neighbor ran to their house to get a dog kennel. After the terrifying ordeal, the fox was handed over to the Pennsylvania Game Commission and Sylvia had to be taken to the hospital for treatment. She just better hope the fox is never let loose again, or it'll probably go back to finish the job. Number 8. The bear selfie. A man who tried to take a selfie with a bear without asking the animal's permission ended up dead. It's really as simple as that. The bear couldn't believe the man's audacity when he strolled straight up to the bear, who was wounded by the way, and tried to snap a picture with the wild animal as if they were best friends. The bear was not impressed. Instead of smiling for the camera, the bear attacked the rude man with both paws, slapping the sense out of him. The guy was dead on the spot, ripped to shreds by the wild beast. If you're wondering just how this guy came face to face with the bear in the first place, it happened while he was driving with a group of friends home from a wedding that they'd just attended. He stopped on the side of the road to relieve himself in the forest. That was when he saw the bear a short way off minding its own business. The man zipped himself up, pulled out his camera, and then went and got himself killed. Number 7. Pig escape. The love of a mother pig for her piglets knows no bounds. A mother pig recently got some pretty sweet revenge on a farmer after she made a daring escape. It happened when the pig, whose name is Matilda, escaped from a farm in the United Kingdom. She was pregnant and didn't want to give birth on the farm where she knew her babies would eventually be slaughtered and probably eaten. So she managed to escape the farm and find a safe place to give birth in a nearby forest. She was then spotted by a dog walker who got a hold of the Brinsley Animal Rescue. The animal conservationists aren't allowed to just steal the pig and her piglets, as they did technically belong to the farmer. But what they did do was start a huge campaign to have the pigs and the piglets brought to a home where they could live the rest of their lives in peace and happiness. The campaign was a failure. The farmer figured out where the pigs were and he went and took them back to the farm. But Matilda's revenge wasn't over just yet. At this point, her story was national news. There was a huge protest after the public found out that the farmer had taken the pig and her piglets back, and facing immense pressure, he finally relinquished the family of pigs. Matilda won the battle and earned a full life for her and her babies, and the farmer was thoroughly annoyed and humiliated. He also lost whatever money he would have made by slaughtering the pig family. Number 6. Walrus sinks Navy vessel. A Russian naval ship was on a scientific expedition in the Arctic when it came under attack by an angry walrus. The expedition was part of a joint mission with the Russian Geographical Society. The ship anchored near a small archipelago slightly south of the North Pole called Franz Josef Land. The crew were about to make landfall in an inflatable boat when they were attacked by the angry female walrus who was simply trying to defend her territory. The rude Russians were basically trespassing, so the walrus took her revenge. The researchers were forced to flee their inflatable vessel as the walrus made her assault. The servicemen were able to get away, but the walrus did so much damage to their boat that it sank. They still made it to shore and got away from the walrus, but they were stranded from the main vessel. They also had to run out of the area because the walrus was still on the prow, waiting to finish off the job. Eventually, they were rescued by the main ship, but it was quite an ordeal for the crew. Number 5. Revenge of the street dogs. A pack of street dogs got some very juicy revenge on a man in China. It happened when the guy was trying to park his car. There was a stray dog sitting in his parking spot, so he got out of his vehicle and kicked the dog in its face. The stray dog whimpered and ran away, and then the man moved his car into the parking spot. After he'd gone, the dog returned with a small group of dog friends to seek revenge. They absolutely trashed this guy's vehicle. About 5 stray dogs returned to the parking lot and began biting and chewing on his windshield wipers, his fenders, and everything else they could get their teeth on. They did thousands of dollars worth of damage to this guy's car and then ran away before he could show up. The attack was even witnessed by a neighbor who filmed the devastation. He probably thought it was pretty funny, and so did the dogs, but the owner of the vehicle was furious. Unfortunately for him, his insurance probably doesn't cover animal revenge. But maybe he'll think about that the next time he wants to kick a dog. Number 4. Cecils' revenge. In 2015, an American dentist named Walter Palmer paid $50,000 to a local ranger in Zimbabwe to lure Cecil the lion out of his nature park. Palmer then shot and killed the lion using a bow and arrow. He killed the most majestic cat on the planet and made things extremely difficult for himself. We don't need to talk about how disgusting Walter Palmer is or why killing lions is bad. We all know why. What we can say is that Cecil the lion, even in death, got her revenge in the form of karma. Walter Palmer quickly became the most hated man in America. This is what the internet did to Walter Palmer after he killed the lion. First, they published his phone number. Secondly, they discovered the address of his dental practice and posted it online. His business page on Facebook was absolutely ruined. Thousands of people called him a scumbag to the point where the page had to be deleted. His Yelp account was also totally ruined. In the end, Walter Palmer didn't lose his practice, and he continued to be a dentist, but he has to live the rest of his life as one of the most unanimously hated people in American history. And yes, he's probably lost a significant amount of business. Number 3. Plague of Crows. Just when citizens of Rome thought it was safe to come out of their houses following the worst of the coronavirus pandemic, the crows decided to get some revenge. It's not clear what exactly sparked the plague of crows that descended on Rome in 2021, but according to the New York Times, they were out of control. Locals were forced to shield themselves with umbrellas, people pulled jackets over their heads, and some brandished wooden sticks to beat the crows away. The angry birds were swooping from the rooftops, grabbing women by their hair, scratching people with their talons, and pecking at them with their beaks. Believe it or not, Rome is almost always under constant siege by angry birds. Every year, the exploding crow population takes their anger out on annoying humans, and when that's all said and done, predatory seagulls descend upon the city and drop bird poop on everyone's heads. It's actually become something of a war, as local residents beg the government to get rid of the crows and to stop the birds from settling in Rome. This only makes the birds angrier, and the crow attacks get more vicious each and every year. The reason crows love living in Rome is that there is so much trash, garbage, and mice for them to eat. The humans are simply in their way. Number 2. Revenge of the Lioness. During a circus performance in Russia, a tormented lioness fought back against her cruel trainer in a shocking display of feline revenge. It happened during a performance done by the Ural Traveling Circus. Terrified spectators shouted and scrambled out of the circus tent as Vega the lioness went wild and turned on her tamer. Her tamer, one Maxim Orlov, was trying to get the animal to perform like a circus freak. It was all part of his act. But the lioness was tired of performing. She pounced on Maxim with her jaws open and her teeth showing. She bit him multiple times before other members of the circus were able to get the big cat off. Maxim had to be transported to the hospital immediately, though he did manage to survive his injuries. There was also a woman in the crowd who witnessed the attack and was so shocked that she had an epileptic seizure. As for Vega, the poor lioness will be traded to a zoo for a smaller lion cub that's easier to control. It's good news for Vega, as hopefully she can have a relatively normal life outside the circus. It's bad news for the newest lion cub, who will most likely be taken away from their family and forced to literally jump through flaming hoops. Number 1. Drunk monkey revenge. In India, there's a monkey named Kalua who has been imprisoned for his entire life. That's right, this monkey actually got a full lifetime prison sentence. He's been locked up in a Kanpur zoo following a wild rampage in which he got wasted on stolen booze and attacked at least 250 people. According to the New York Post, zookeepers at the park were hoping to assimilate the monkey into their little monkey society. However, now he's been deemed too dangerous to live among his own kind, and he certainly can't be out in the wild getting drunk and attacking people. Based on local reports, the monkey had originally belonged to some kind of occultist hermit, who fed Kalua a steady diet of hard liquor and meat harvested from other monkeys. The occultist basically turned the creature into an alcoholic cannibal. The occultist was found dead, and the neglected monkey took out his anger and frustration on the neighborhood people, swinging from building to building, breaking into people's houses, and clawing women and children in the face. The rampage went on for quite some time before Kalua was eventually captured by animal trappers and delivered to the zoo. According to the zoo director, there's been absolutely no change in his behavior and he remains highly aggressive to the outside world. 3 years after the monkey's brutal rampage, the zookeepers have all but given up on it. He'll be kept in solitary confinement for the rest of his life. It's extremely sad because it's not the monkey's fault he was raised that way, but it's just the way things turned out. Thanks for watching. Which of these animals do you think got the best revenge? Let me know your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to hit subscribe for more amazing videos right here.